Hey everybody, Ryan Bassam here with my buddy Kym Lloyd. We've got another Road to 100 podcast for you presented by Mallard Bay, your best guide in outfitter solutions, Benelli Firearms, the best shotguns on the market, Lacrosse Boots, keep those feet warm, RW Coolidge for the best nostalgic leather and canvas goods for the waterfowler, First Light, their new waterfowl line has been keeping us warm and dry on our hunts around the world, Apex Ammunitions from steel to tungsten, best ammo for the job, Sound Gear, protect your hearing and enjoy the hunt. Montana Knife Company, you got to eat those birds, guys. And finally, Safari Club International, our favorite conservation organization, protecting hunters' rights around the world.
And in this podcast, we're going to be taking a deep dive on what it's like to hunt Sweden and the dangers of radar-controlled roads there and the tickets that we may or may not have gotten with our guest, Kevin Goodrum. And Kevin is the owner of RW Coolidge, if you didn't know. So we're going to explore the beginnings of that company and how his love for waterfowl has created a brand that focuses on the heritage and nostalgia of our sport. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Road to 100 podcast. In the heart of every waterfowl hunter, there's a memory where it all began. For us, the waterfowl life started in the southern United States in the flooded timbers and expansive marshland. But as our journey unfolded, the quest for waterfowl led us beyond our home. The passion eventually takes us to different flyways, different countries, and beyond. We discovered that the culture of waterfowl transcends borders. And so, a daring dream took root, a dream to hunt 100 different species of waterfowl across the globe. We wanted to share the story of adventure and encounters with fellow hunters, each sharing the same passion as us. The landscapes will change, the species will vary, but the passion remains the same. One dream, a long road, 100 species. This is the Road to 100. All right, welcome everybody. We are here in Sweden for one of our first international hunts in our series, The Road to 100. I'm Kym Lloyd, and we've also got
Ryan Bassam.
And
Logan Moe.
And we're also joined by the one and only
Kevin Goodrum.
who is
That creeped me out a little bit.
who has been a great supporting character in our film here. A lot of comedic relief, a lot of wisdom coming from Kevin over here. He is the founder and owner of RW Coolidge, and we've been putting some of his products to the test here, filling up some straps with way more birds than we probably should, but they've been handling it great.
Absolutely.
Because we've been piling up birds here in Sweden, and it's been completely awesome. Kevin, let's let you start us out. What was your favorite thing so far about being in Sweden?
You know, I think the gas stations. Got to be it coming from Memphis. Controlled access to the gas stations, probably the coolest thing I've seen. No, I'm joking. The hunts for geese, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. I don't get to see Canada's that close to me in the States.
Oh, my God.
They were literally landing on my head.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
What about you, Logan?
Yeah, so the hunting over live mallards, one, and then you just brought up a good point, the Canadas. I have never shot geese that high off the ground before.
Yeah.
I have never seen them come in that high off the
deck.
ground. Like, literally
Right, how they should do
on
it.
the deck.
Yeah.
Just everything came together yesterday morning for that. Blind situation was a little iffy. I
Right.
definitely wanted to beat the crap out of my layout blind, Kevin.
I'd show you the finger that's broken because of one, but I can't do it. Kym would have to be editing that one
Too
out.
good. Well, you've said like a few things I should probably provide some clarity for. So like, yes, so guys, what we've learned in Sweden is they do not have access to the same quality of products that we enjoy in the United States, which is a given. Any international hunt we go on, the expectation is to be able to practice a high level of patience just because, again, they don't have the gear that we do. And so our layout blind situation was different than what we would normally deal with. They were slightly homemade, it seemed like, but it was super cool. And then, Logan, you just mentioned hunting over live birds, and people listening to this or watching this are probably like, what on earth?
Yeah.
And so to provide a little bit of clarity to that, So in Europe, it has been fairly common practice for a long time. If you historically look at the hunting tactics of Europeans hunting wild game and wildfowl specifically with this, to hunt over wild or not wild, but over tethered or caged domesticated ducks. It's legal. It differs from country to country based on how you can do that. Like here in Sweden, Samuel was explaining to us that you cannot have them in a cage or tethered like you can in some other places or used to be able to in other places. But they do a lot of release birds. We weren't hunting release birds, but some of these release birds are clipped. And anyways, they were keeping this body of water open. They were live. They were quacking. They weren't leaving. And they provide excellent legal live decoys for us to be able to hunt over. And that was a very unique experience indeed.
We didn't have to call.
No, we did because it felt weird not to, but we didn't need to. It was really cool.
The funniest part of that, Samuel is standing beside me, and he goes, I think Ryan is talking American to these birds, and they don't understand it.
I had way too thick of an American
And
accent.
Samuel was just mouth calling, and he was like, and it's like kind of working. I was like,
so
is that really
funny.
what it takes over
I
here?
was like, wow, I suck.
But then the Judas birds, that's what they
Judas
call
birds,
them, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They would call at the exact time that they were supposed to call. Like,
Right.
you know, I see Ryan starting to put the call up to his mouth, and four mallards in the
it's
hole
like-
start raising up and calling. It was
Cool.
amazing.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lured their friends to their deaths.
Indeed they
Judas
did.
birds.
Indeed they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle?
Oh, I think mainly kind of just seeing the passion for waterfowl in a different way over here. Seeing these guys, and especially in a place where it's, I won't say persecuted, but a little bit more so than we are in the U.S. There's a lot of hate for the John was talking about today. One of the guys we were with hunting with today was talking about how he was getting emails. People were making email accounts just to send him,
Right.
hate mail, and which happens on social media a little bit, which is funny because
Right.
we see it a lot on our accounts from other countries commenting.
We do.
on.
A lot of
Yes.
Europeans too.
Yeah.
Mainly the UK.
Yeah, and so it's just awesome to see that they're sticking to their heritage, their roots, and keeping that tradition going, and just the passion, the same passion that we have, the
Right.
willingness to get up early, get out there, set up decoys, throw out crappy blinds. I was super let down. I wanna throw this in there. Samuel said that we were going to be hunting in swan blinds, and in my head,
You had a big swan.
I'm seeing those old school
Yeah.
swan. You pop out of an actual like swan replica.
It's like a massive decoy you're under,
Swan. Yeah. Well, the size of it, you could fit in it, and you pop out, and it's an actual swan. And we get there, and it's these death trap mechanisms. I remember.
It was literally broke my finger. One of them came down.
I know
pinched.
it.
Big old knot right
It was
now.
literally just a layout blind with snow cover on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like
Yeah.
little snow mounds.
Yeah.
And
that's
it
all
worked.
was.
I mean,
It
it couldn't have
worked.
worked any better.
And
Honestly.
we had that
feet down.
backwind coming in, so whenever you sat up, the backwind was
Yeah, 'cause
throwing
it
that
was
lid.
continually
It wasn't so like some people that are just listening to this. It wasn't like the doors that you would normally open up that are like parallel with your body. It was like it came down from top over your head and down over to your waist. And so when you threw open your blind doors, there was no doors. It was a door, and you had to go straight back with it. And the freaking wind, because we're playing the wind right, like we should, caught it like a sail and slammed it right back down on top of you.
Yeah.
Horrible design.
And if you
Anyways.
are listening and you want to see Logan get clapped by one several times, go to the YouTube.
So at one point I switched with Kyle yesterday and I was filming and I don't think I got it in time, but I couldn't tell if it was Logan or Kyle, but you would turn around and start boxing
That
with
was
it.
me. That was me.
Oh my
I was
gosh,
literally
that's
just
so
punching
funny.
it.
Oh,
So
No,
good.
there was one time when I popped up and it came over my head perfectly to the point where it was like over my eyes while I was trying to shoot, and it was
So
honestly
good.
like I was like, oh, this is dangerous. I was
So
like,
good.
gotta be
Yeah.
careful.
No, it was a good time.
I think I said every wrong word that I ever was told not to say for the first 10 minutes of that thing.
Yeah, there was some language that went on yesterday amidst the success of the day, but there was some language. Yeah,
yeah.
we'll have to edit that out.
I think one of the things, and Ryan has been here, done that in a lot of countries, especially with waterfowl, but with big game too. We've been on some cool trips, but One thing that Ryan keeps drilling to us is don't expect what you expect in the U.S. over here.
Right.
And one of the hardest things for me, and me and Kevin were definitely throwing a royal fit, because we're so used to, if the birds are going to do it right, let them do it
finish.
right.
I know.
And
I know.
it almost seems like they're not even trying to decoy them in, and the spreads are smaller. It's a lot of pass shooting over here.
A lot of pass shooting. That's very commonplace in Europe.
Yeah, and
Africa,
it hurts me inside to have these birds coming in and then shoot them before
Like they're gonna finish.
They're gonna finish.
40 yards and they're 2 feet off the ground. You know they're coming.
There's no other option for them at that point. But it's just interesting to see that the setup's not even designed really. They're designed to get them in our hole to get us shots at them, but they're not huge spreads that are gonna make birds lay down on
Right.
them. So it's just been interesting to see that, and how it's not even like it's not as hard to get a solid day here either, just because. But if they were to let them decoy, oh my gosh,
Oh,
the
jeez.
birds we could have had.
I got to tell you, just that one group of Canadas that came in.
Mhm.
Canada,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking hundreds
Right.
Oh yeah,
coming in.
yeah, covering the sky.
Phenomenal.
It was so
Phenomenal.
cool.
Yeah.
And here I am sitting with an over/under 2 shots.
That's
While-
another
while-
thing
while
we need to
Mr.
talk
Bat-
about.
while
Yeah,
Mr.
well, Ryan's got 5
5 shells in his back.
Oh man,
They're
I should probably
two
explain some of that. So in Sweden specifically, and this is not uncommon to other places around the world, the legalities is very different. So we can shoot lead here.
Yep.
There is no legal shooting time. You can hunt over live birds as long as they're not caged or tethered. What am I missing? Oh, you can bait here. There's no limits on any species. And I mean, it opens up a totally different world of opportunity. But the cons to the hunting here is they're limited on resources. I don't know that they have the opportunity to hunt as much as we would in the U.S. So their game's just a little bit different. They play it different, but it's still a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but those are some key elements to the experience. Like all these things that we feel like, oh gosh, like we got to be legal, we got to do these things. They have to be legal too. But man, they can do some things way different that we can't do at home.
Explain the gun allocation process.
Yeah, so
That's pretty cool.
So here, and this is a lot of Europe. It's obviously difficult to obtain a firearm permit and be able to even own one. So here, what we've done is we're borrowing guns from a lot of the outfitters' friends and other associates, and they had to the outfitter has to have the paperwork for that firearm, and then we did as well. And so we were all legal and okay there, but it's not just super easy to go and get a firearm here. And so we were having to borrow a lot of guns, and we were just kind of like, we're going to use whatever's here. And that's so common to most places you go. If you can't legally get your gun in or don't want to go through the hassle of it, you're going to use what you're going to use.
Yeah, we were talking like 60 to 90 days to even think about
Yeah.
putting that in. It just,
I wanted to mention something about the gun that I used the whole time, which was a side-by-side crack barrel, double trigger. Never shot that type of gun in my entire life. And the guy's name that was with us today?
John.
John.
Yeah.
It was his gun from when he was passed down from 11 years old. And I was shooting his gun, and I'm just standing there holding it, and he's talking. He's like, how do you like the gun? Like, how do you like to shoot? He's like, it shoots far, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, telling me this, and I'm like, wow, I really
cool.
just used this gun that's been passed down for basically generations.
That's really cool. Scandinavian cultural gold right there.
they're at a point. Samuel told me that I was using his girlfriend's gun, and that was like the end. Talk about comedic gold. Somebody said, you shoot like a girl. And I was like, well, it's the gun.
It's just the gun. It's not me.
That is awesome. So good. Well, one thing we haven't talked about, I mean, the whole idea behind this concept of the road to 100 is the species that we're able to obtain along the way, outside of, the fun stories and the great people that we get to interact with, is the species. And so what was everybody's favorite species on this hunt?
Mine was the barnacle goose first, and then the Graylag, because barnacle geese reminded me so much of lesser geese, and I don't get to hunt in Louisiana lesser geese pretty much any time. So it's very much big spins. They fly the same way. They look the same when they fly. And then the Graylags remind me a lot of speckle bellies, which is near and dear to my heart. Of
course,
being a Louisiana boy. And they've got bar bellies. Just they're very tiny.
It's just different. Yeah, they're bigger body too.
Yep, way bigger.
Absolutely, Kevin. What about you, man?
The bean goose. I mean that was pretty cool. I mean they just like the speck that we hunt in Mississippi and Arkansas. Except it was really a white-fronted goose.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't any barbelly.
They have no markings, and
no markings at all.
And those are two unique species, right? The bean goose and the graylag. The main difference between the bean goose and the graylag is their bill. The bean goose has a little bit of black in the bill, whereas the graylag is an all orange bill. And then the bean goose doesn't have any markings on its chest, whereas the bean goose is a little bit of speck, but not like true bar belly like our speckle belly goose would be.
And in the group we were with, the desire to have a bean goose. That was the fun part. Yeah. Brian and I smoked 2 that came right over our heads, and there was a race to catch those 2 birds. It was just great.
It was good. It was really
like
good.
The Indy 500.
I feel a little guilty that we were the only 2 that in our group that were able to pull that off.
Just how the cards fall
sometimes. Just how the cookie crumbles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, we'll get them somewhere else.
I know it. We'll pick them up. It's part of the journey.
So for context, me and Logan didn't have a chance because Kevin and Ryan just smoked those 2. The one time Kevin decides to shoot phenomenally.
And we have it on camera.
He stopped shooting like a girl for one volley.
He's like, there's a bean goose. It's time to get serious. and they clapped him, and that was awesome. Yeah. Me and Logan, we've run into quite a bit of roadblock here with some of our species that were potential on the list. Stuff's frozen up here. Ryan, walk us through. So we had the barnacle goose, the graylag, and the bean goose. Mm-hmm. And you and Kevin marked out all of those. Me and Logan are missing the bean goose with hopes to pick them up somewhere else. It's not a huge deal, but we didn't get a crack at all at any of the ducks on the list, which...
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously there's a lot of mallards here, and we shot a bunch of mallards, which was great. But the other 2 main ducks that we were after was the Eurasian widgeon and then the Eurasian teal. And the Eurasian teal looks quite a bit like our green-winged teal, but there are some subtle differences. But those, unfortunately, I mean, like they've had some much colder weather here than they typically would have for this time of year, and pretty much all their water was locked up, and a lot of birds have moved south way earlier than they were accustomed to. I think they were sweating bullets a little bit.
Yeah, you could tell they were getting very creative with how they were doing things.
We've been losing birds daily since we've been here.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Which, there's potential to pick up all of those species in other places, but I was really hoping to get some teal action.
I know.
I know. I was just thinking about that after we started talking about it. I was like, man,
that's
a group of those green ones.
That's good. There's plenty, like, for that Eurasian teal, like, there's places like Azerbaijan, Pakistan, some pretty other wild places we're going to go and get a crack at them. So
Not me. Low and slow.
We may not be able to talk Kevin into those.
Have enough teal down in Texas. Low and slow is good here, especially with that gun.
Yeah, no, but no, I think from just full perspective of the trip, I think it was great. I mean, we were all able to check off some new species. Yep. Great experience. Met some great people. I think the thing that I'm going to remember the most is learning about how they do speeding tickets here. And
hopefully we don't have to learn.
The fact that I'm probably totally screwed and might not ever be able to come back to Sweden because I was speeding and didn't realize that the reason you don't see cops around here is because there's those stupid radar things, and I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're all undercover. I didn't know that either.
So at some point a couple days ago, I'm notorious for kind of being the Sunday driver. And I like to take in the sights. I just like to go the speed limit, which thankfully has once worked out in my favor. And because I started paying attention to the signs, and I looked at the sign, and of course it's in kilometers, and I don't.
It's in kilometers, and everything's in Swedish. I just quit paying attention to it.
It's hard enough to just pay attention to their weird. They'll have diversions where instead of having speed bumps in some of these rural, like you come into the town and you have to swerve and go through this one lane, and sometimes there's semis coming through, and it's like it's meant to trap Americans. And
It 100% is. They got me, man.
and they
Ryan's
I
a
think
Swedish
they did.
fugitive.
Yeah,
They're going to be a Swedish fugitive.
but so
well,
apparently
it's technically going to be Kevin the fugitive
Because
because
Kevin
it's
rented
all
it.
on my credit card.
yeah. I'm in servitude to Kevin now.
yeah. So we have no way of knowing until either 2 days or 2 weeks or there's hidden radar signs, and I decided to mention it halfway through Ryan's
Way to
Fast
go.
and Furious movie. We're on the way to the blind, and I'm just clutching camera gear, and Logan and me are back there just bobbing around, and I was like, by the way, I did see a weird little camera surveillance sign. I don't know what that means, but maybe be careful. And that made Ryan go faster.
Because I was like, man, like back home, you see those, and it's like, there's not really a camera.
Yeah,
and
oh,
there's
no.
not probably.
Yeah.
Apparently
but
that's not the case
the,
here.
the one thing that John was talking about this morning, he says if you got tickets, they're going to be about $500 a piece. But
gonna be
he
sick.
also said that we probably didn't get a ticket because there's no way you'd miss the flash of the hidden cameras. That is
never saw
bright,
one.
even on a bright day, and it's definitely been dark and cloudy
The
here.
joys of international travel. My goodness.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be eating bologna for the next year, trying to pay off the
No,
credit card.
I'm not. You're not holding the bag on that one, dude. We'll take
Well,
care
we,
of it.
we do have bets. I mean, when they give the tickets out to the rental car company, they send the picture of
true.
the driver. So if
Have
you're
the
out there and you
receipts.
want to bet on which one of us got the most,
yeah, exactly. Good grief.
I'm not saying who, but
Expect about 30 pictures of Ryan.
Who's that creepy guy in the mustache driving around like a Mario Kart? This guy.
the road to 100 didn't mean the road to 100 tickets.
Yeah.
I thought the whole concept behind the road to 100 is go as fast as you can, and
You nailed it.
I nailed it.
The Swedish government thinks so too.
Yeah,
Thank you for your participation.
awesome. So we're gonna have to delay this whole project a year until I can pay this off. Anyways, well, seriously, guys, this has been a great trip, and I'm glad we could have Kevin here, and I'd like to get the audience to have the opportunity to get to know Kevin a little bit more, because Kevin and I have known each other for a bit. And he's got a really cool story. Grew up in a very unique place. It was kind of fun having, two founders of two different companies that I get to work with here with us. And yeah, Kevin, tell us your story, buddy.
So, born in the Bahamas to a missionary and his wife, and lived there. I think I was actually European when I was born.
Oh wow! So
It
maybe we
was-
can get out of this whole ticket
It was-
situation. Maybe
it-
there's
I
some
was
you're
weird-
native.
I was English. I mean, at the time, England actually.
Oh, that's right, they owned.
It was
Wow.
yeah. It was I guess a territory of the British
Right,
Empire.
right.
Mhm.
So very quickly though, I think 1972 they got their independence or whatever.
Right.
But lived there till I was about 6, and then moved back to the States. Finally settling pretty much in Middle Tennessee. Played a little baseball. Never really got into the hunting scene, because I was too busy playing ball all the time. And started doing a little more hunting, I guess, probably in my teen years. Found out that I didn't like deer hunting. I mean, I would go out there and it was like church to me. I would just go to sleep. You just sit there and you stay warm and you go to sleep. And you guys know I can sleep if I drop the hat, and I'll drop the
I don't know how you sleep through all that snoring, honestly.
He can fall asleep on his phone just right there.
It's amazing.
But
It hits him in the face to wake him up.
But yeah, we didn't do much. We didn't do much hunting, and I think that the real start to the hunting passion came when my wife and I moved to South Haven, Mississippi for a job. There was I happily call him and lovingly call him my redneck friend from Arkansas. But one of my buddies, when I first got to the job, wanted to see if I wanted to duck hunt. I'd never been duck hunting, and he took me out, and I think he tried to see if the city slicker was going to be too scared to go. But he took me out, and I fell in love with it. I mean, we had a Chesapeake Bay retriever at the time, and some trainer from Louisiana actually did about 2 weeks of training with him, and he's like, Kevin, you need to hunt this dog. I said, Jay, I don't have any camo in my closet. I mean, the only gun I have is a handgun. It's not happening. He goes, you need to do it. So when we moved to Mississippi, my buddy at my new job got me out in the water and kind of got me interested in it. And you guys know how you treat the new guy, right? So
Gotta pay those dues, son.
dude, they leaned me up against locust trees like nobody's business. About the third hunt, I came in and I knew they were going to do it. They leaned me up to a tree, and I pulled out that camp saw and just started sawing away a little spot where I could lean in, and they finally were laughing. They said, we were wondering when you were going to bring that saw. But
That's funny.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We've started there. I keep telling people we rescued that Chesapeake, and that dog has cost me more money and time than any woman ever has. And we did a lot of work with charitable groups, Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl, and got more Chesapeake Bay retrievers. Kept spending money on leases and hunting different places. All the experiences that you could have in Arkansas and the Mississippi Delta. It's a whole lot of fun.
Fully addicted.
Hooked. I tell you what, and that was the one thing that was really cool. There wasn't any excitement to me in deer hunting, but getting in a boat at night, going through trees, seeing mallards jump up, it got your adrenaline pumping.
Right.
I mean, and then you throw in the eye-hand coordination, which, I mean, it didn't show up this week, but I promise you, it really caught me. And that I told him, I said, I've enjoyed the experience of just being surprised every time I go out there and not knowing what I'm going to get into.
I love it.
I was gonna ask about R.W. Coolidge and the story of how you two met each other, and I wanted everybody to hear that, and then
Be nice.
what you guys are doing with R.W. Coolidge and kind of what's the vision overall. For
Yeah.
the company.
So when I was a volunteer for and still do some work, but was a volunteer for Ducks Unlimited. Ran the chapter in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Ryan had come to work there for an outfitter, or not an outfitter, but an outdoor company there. And every good volunteer has to go beg. So I was out begging, and
I do now know that.
oh my God, it's something else. So we ended up meeting. Just sat down in the office one day and started talking, and had a lot of things in common. Probably had more in common with Ryan than I did the owners of the company, but had a lot in common with Ryan, and stayed friends and stayed connected through the years, through that chapter. And not just, hey, give me money, Ryan.
Yeah.
But
It went beyond that.
it went way beyond that. And that's it's amazing. You have a guy from Texas, you got a guy from Tennessee show up in Nowhereville, Mississippi, in Olive Branch, and it was small at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
there was like 10,000 people, 8,000 people
Right,
there.
Right.
It's 50,000, 60,000 now.
crazy.
Oh wow.
It's insane. But you can start a conversation in 2 seconds, and not see each other for 2 years and have pick up the same conversation. So, kind of funny. I know Ryan had moved to Bozeman, and I had sent him some samples of what we came up with. A buddy of mine and I sat out in a blind, and he's a little older than me, a guy named Ray, and he talked about his father always taking him hunting and stuff, and he always talked about the leather straps and all of that. He goes, we didn't take a lot of pictures with them, but I always remember having to be the boy that toted the leather strap out. And I didn't have that experience because I didn't start hunting till I was in my 30s. And so I looked at him and I said, well, Ray, I owned a shoe company for 5 years. I know a little bit about leather. We might be able to do something. So we started designing something and putting it together, and the first prototypes came out, and we went out and tested them, and they were absolutely hideous. I mean, they were terrible. I mean, they looked like string spaghetti, dried up, and different measures and different lengths and everything. But we tested them for a year, and neither one of us had that quote product testing or wanted to get in the business. I ran large distribution centers for years. So it wasn't where I made my money, but it was a passion, and it kept me tied to the sport, and finally got it right. Sent those the right samples, the good samples, to Ryan because he was out there, and I knew. Never returned my call.
Oh,
never. He was so busy. Couldn't. No, but it was a while, and we just started making leather game straps, and I think that started in 2018, 2019, and have done real well selling our straps. And so I called him again in 2022, and I said, hey, we're doing some other stuff, and I sent a whole pack of stuff out there, and
that got my attention.
Yeah, and then out of the blue, he's like, "Hey, you're making some pretty good quality stuff here." I was like, "Well, yeah, we're not going to make anything that's like you sell at Walmart. I mean, it's going to be good, or we're not going to do it." I said, "My wife works at Williams-Sonoma. She doesn't let me get anything cheap, so we're going to have some good quality stuff." And yeah, so he's like, "Well, yeah, what do you want to do?" I went, well, the same thing I wanted to do 4 years ago.
Couldn't do it then.
Yeah, I was
do
like,
whatever I want now.
I've been after you since 2018. So yeah, we in getting to that, I flew out to Bozeman, and it was kind of funny. I think he kind of tried to brush me off a couple times because Tuesday,
when we were in Bozeman. Oh
yeah,
no.
Tuesday afternoon, he goes, "Hey, I've got some stuff tonight. I'm busy Wednesday." Really? How long are you here? And I was like, until I get a yes. I don't have anything on my plate. I leave Saturday. How's that? He goes, well, what are you going to do here? I said, I only had one mission. That was it. One mission. So, it's that part of it's been good. We have another company that we run, and we do a fantastic job with that, but it always comes back to doing something with the sport.
Yeah.
That's your passion, and that's where Ryan and I have always stayed connected.
Yeah.
And that's why we're getting started. We want to put some really good product out. We talk about our tagline being timeless, functional, and quality stuff. We want to keep that nostalgia there. We want to use a lot of some of those older looks, older fabrics. Maybe tweak them a little bit, make some of the technological advances that we can do now that they couldn't do then.
Sure.
But that's where we're going, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there really quick. What was I showing you on the financials a couple months ago? We had doubled and doubled and doubled
right.
in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how to drive. I know how to drive the train, but I don't know how to drive that train. And that's where I definitely need some help. So you might as well go get some of the best in the business when you do that.
I appreciate that. It's been a fun ride. I mean, it's been awesome to see you grow this business, and I mean, I think it's been interesting in my career, the people I've been able to work with and meet along the way, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Kevin's one of the goods. It's hard to find founders of companies that can be humble and continue to be able to innovate at different phases and do everything that Kevin's kind of envisioning. And I always feel honored to be able to be a part of those opportunities. So
we just want to make sure people have an enjoyable experience,
right?
And getting back and talking to your kids later in life about how you started and things like that, and being able at our first product was being able to take that strap that you used 10 years ago, 15
right.
years ago, and say, here, it's yours.
Right.
that's all we want to do. That's all we want to be able to do is to tie those memories back to the sport.
Absolutely.
It keeps people involved in the sport and keeps things moving.
Yeah, I mean, when y'all came to me with the idea of doing this Road to 100 and kind of, I'm a presenter, so I like things to be presented to me in terms of like, that's just how I communicate. And I never really thought about it like that. You just said is something that you can pass down, the storytelling of like, and I was telling y'all earlier that this trip to me has just been so real the whole time. And I don't even know if it's hit me yet. I've been here for 4 days, right?
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to come here and start to check these species off, and you being so far down the list already, and kind of the journey of the whole thing.
Yep.
And honestly, being with you two as kind of entrepreneurs, and you're with what you're doing with Peaks and your experience in the marketing industry, and being able to learn from that, because I am young and I don't get a lot of learnings from some people that have been in the industry for a while, right? And so that's a really important part about being here is getting to learn from everybody.
I think it's what makes it super cool, like, because we've all had such diverse, careers and experiences. I mean, we're all here because we love to hunt waterfowl, and we're telling these cool stories and building content because Kayam's absolutely amazing at what he does, absolutely amazing. And so, but it's interesting, like when you start looking at our perspectives, we've got the younger guy, kind of the middle guy.
Oh, let me tell you, this guy's like,
Kevin's a little older than me. And we all have these different backgrounds,
The funniest part, the first thing Logan says is, yeah, you're about to age my dad.
But here's what's awesome.
Yeah.
So, like you got Logan, who has started this really cool company called Mallard Bay, as you all know. And everything he's doing at this age, like, good grief, dude, you're like way further ahead of where most people are at this stage. And then you've got somebody like Kevin, who's also an entrepreneur, who's running multiple businesses as well and has a very unique career background. I don't know. It's inspiring just to be able to learn from y'all's experiences. For me, like I always look at everything like that I've been able to do in my career, and it's because I get to be around people like you guys and learn from your learnings, and it's been a lot of fun just having business conversation amongst our wild adventure in Sweden.
I tell you, but you look around these two couches right now, and the driving force, even for me and my other businesses, I want to hunt.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I started.
I want to be able to clear my plate so I can hunt.
Right.
And
exactly.
That sounds terrible because I was a huge baseball guy. I would have traveled. At one point my goal was to hit every baseball stadium in America, and then they started rebuilding them and putting new ones on and all of that stuff. So my road to 32 or road to 30 became a road to 32, and and then it stopped. Yeah. And this really took its place. So it's cool. It's what drives me every day.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I think it would be interesting. So, Kevin, like, you've had some pretty diverse experience throughout your career. What are some of the most important learnings that you would share, maybe with anyone who's listening, as far as business success? We've talked a lot about hunting and this amazing experience in Sweden, but it's a privilege to have somebody like you here. Yeah. So, what would be something you could share with us on business success and some of the key factors that play into that?
If you're the smartest guy in the room, find another room.
Yeah, I like that.
Pretty easy. That and understand the customer service side of that. You want to make sure. I'll tell you a good story.
Yeah.
We've sold from 2018 to 2021. We sold about 6,500 straps.
Yeah.
This year we're way outpacing that. I got a call 2 weeks ago. A guy had broken his strap, and I'm not kidding. First strap we'd ever had returned.
All right.
I freaked out. I had
never
no
dealt
idea,
with it.
I had no idea what to do. And so I see the picture on Snapchat. The new generation. I can call you that, right?
Yeah.
Since I'm so old.
Mm-hmm. Gen Z over here, right?
The new generation likes to throw everything up in public, and I get it. It's good. We understand it, but the picture came out on Snapchat at 9:00. By 12:15, I had the guy a new strap, even brought some T-shirts because I felt so bad. And I looked at him and I said, hey, I really don't know how to act in this because we've never had to do this before. But we don't want this to happen again. And when we talk about customer service and we talk about that through RW Coolidge, we look at our competitors. We look at the landscape of customer service, and we see a lot of people. Well, this messed up, and they were so great to get us this back and first, as fast as we can. And the forum boards on all these companies are filled with those kind of conversations, right? I'm talking to Ryan, and our vision. I don't want people putting that stuff on public anyway.
Right.
I want that first experience with RW Coolidge to be the one that they never have to call us back and say, "Hey, this broke. We need a replacement." Obviously, if it breaks, we'll fix it. But I want to be able to give those experiences to them that they know that when they get some of our product, they don't have to worry about something breaking or something not functioning like it should. And that's why we spend a lot of time testing our product. We spend a lot of time in the field with it. It's been great here. I literally looked down today, and the leather strap was thrown on the ice inside the marsh. No big deal. The Friday before we left, it was raining in Mississippi, and that same strap was covered with about 1.5 inches of Mississippi mud, and still going strong. That's the kind of experience you want to have. You want to be able to take that, hose it off, and keep going.
Right.
And that way you don't know. You don't know that there's a problem.
I think that's critical because, in every company, consumer product company I've been able to work for, whether it be full-time or as a consultant, that consumer experience is critical. And if your product or service doesn't do what you say it's going to do, you're dead in the water.
Right.
And so I think having that be a focal point of whatever you're doing, or even if you're early in your career, supporting that, depending on where you're working at, is mission critical.
Yeah, we're talking smaller products. We're not talking huge amounts of money. I'm not making waders at $1,000 a pop. That's not the case. But there's still a belief that people work hard enough for your product to pay for your product.
Right.
That you need to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's been the bigger part of what we want to do. We want to be able to give them that experience that they don't have to worry about this. And then on the side note, taking pictures with those straps. God, we've talked all week about birds and mounting birds and all of that stuff. And every time somebody goes, "Well, did you want your?" Oh, no, I'm good. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, just get me a picture.
Yeah.
Let me have a picture. I'll put it up on there. Let's make sure the strap's in the picture, but I'll take the picture with it. And that's been a blast for me. It makes those experiences tight.
Right.
And then every time you look at the strap, you can go back.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Look at your hunt.
Well, I think speaking from the younger generation here, piping up, not only is customer service something that's lacking in a lot of these modern companies, as I've seen, but the quality and the timelessness of something that's waxed canvas or real leather made in America. I think these are things that younger people are circling back to because it's something that doesn't fail. And believe it or not, young people do care about heritage. A lot of us do, especially in the hunting game.
Sure.
And so when we see those pictures, like you were talking about, the boy that brings the strap out, that's stuff that, even if it's been lost, is reawakening a little bit because we're starting to, with the internet, we're starting to see these older traditions, and even people that have just found hunting, wanna pay homage to that, that tradition. Especially, I think all of us here are proud Southerners, right? With the exception of the move-in Bohemian.
I'm way
Southern
Southern.
man.
I'm more Southern.
Well, and you and I
than all y'all.
migrated north,
we
but I'm
did.
Southern at heart. So.
Yeah. All being
Actually, we're all three Texas boys.
Yes,
That's right.
originally.
Yep. But I think we all have some proud heritage, and that's what I've found. Like looking at RW Coolidge, if you were to just switch those photos black and white,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
it's
Right.
you
Step
it's
back
timeless.
in time.
Yeah. So
exactly.
and I really appreciate that as a consumer, and then someone who believes in quality of gear, doing this all the time.
exactly.
It's huge.
Well, that kind of brings up something I'd like you to talk about is just the quality of content and like how important it is
Right.
to you that you make sure that the quality of not only this series but all of the content that you put out there and the amount of time that goes into it, and like kind of what is your perspective on capturing that, and like how do you like to tell that story, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have already kind of touched on it. It's the experience, right? Like I have to convey, like we're all sitting here and we're super happy about this experience. We all have our takeaways. My job is to read that off of you guys and blend that with my own experience, and then somehow, some way, through the magic of cinema and editing, make our viewers feel that. And that's what I'm hoping that people get
Right.
out of this episode is a bunch of Southern boys somehow in Sweden doing the same thing we've been doing since we were kids. And that's just like that's crazy to think about. And one big thing that we've been talking about as we're planning this huge series is making it relatable.
Right.
And like we've kind of touched on, it's the same as it is back home, but it's way different.
It's the same but different, man.
Yeah.
It's the same but different.
And so it's just important. We're basically trying to trace down our roots in other places and see the similarities, and that's what we're really trying to show. And I think that everyone progresses in anything. If you get to a certain point, there's always that desire to seek and do more.
Right.
And I think Ryan, more so than most of us, has got to that point a long time ago. Me and Logan are just starting our journeys, and Kevin's been, hunting for a while now too. It's just great to get to that point to where you look up and you think, there's a bigger world, and I think that's everyone gets to that point, and a lot of my friends from back home, it's really heartwarming for me to see a lot of the people from my tiny little hometown see what I'm doing and then ask questions. And I know that you get this a lot too, but it's never a problem when people ask questions about how can I do this, and it's awesome to be able to help them.
Right.
And that's what's awesome about Mallard Bay too, is the ability to book and see and do things.
It makes it that much more attainable than people realize.
When you don't have to do the backdoor work of, well, what do I do when I have to go to another state?
Yeah.
Like, how do I do that?
Who do I go with?
Yeah, and that's the whole
Yeah.
point of this, is to make it believable and possible to do all these things. Anyone can do this.
Exactly. It's more obtainable than people realize.
Yeah.
Like I just remember growing up in Northeast Texas, like just thinking, man, I'll probably never hunt outside of our family dairy farm. I'm going to hunt ducks back here on our old family homestead that my great-great-great-grandfather settled, and hunt deer over on my other family's property, and that's going to be it. But it would be cool one day to maybe, and dude, like I feel like I'm still in a dream, but like anybody can do this.
Yep.
Right. Anybody can do it. And I think, with companies like Logan's making it that much more easy to go and do it, and then great products coming from companies like Kevin's, and then people getting to live vicariously and learn about it through your content. It's like, guys, it's right here at our fingertips. Like, you can do this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Just go.
Honestly, I think something just clicked for me that's kind of come full circle about this experience, and I think I mentioned it to you guys. So I started hunting when I was 5 years old in West Texas.
Yeah.
And here they hunt sometimes the same way you did. You would dig a shallow grave, and I know that the fields here were frozen right now.
So you couldn't do that.
Yeah, so we couldn't do that. But how interesting is it that we were killing, big honkers in Sweden yesterday in layouts in the field, and I grew up in West Texas doing the same thing, and that love and the passion for going hunting with my dad, and then not having a place to go and call our own when we were coming up in Texas, and then now that we're able to do this and kind of live this lifestyle is really just, I'm just grateful to be able to do this and kind of do it with guys like y'all. So part of the reason why I started Mallard Bay was a poor experience with an outfitter, and I want to make sure that everyone has the equal opportunity to access an outfitter. You don't just have to know somebody. You don't have to get on someone's books, years in advance, and pay like, exorbitant amount of money just to be able to enjoy something. It can be attainable for everybody.
Sure.
Well, and that gets back even to this experience here. You know, you can't control. We talked about everything freezing over. You can't control the weather, but you can control the customer experience when you have them in front of you.
Yeah.
And to that point, that part's been really good. You know, and again, the good thing about these two generations sitting on this side is, at different points during this event, guess what we were doing? We were selling. we wanted to get more outfitters from Mallard Bay to come up. So this is a test run, and then we go to a sporting goods store here where all the hunters in our group are,
that was cool. All
the hunters in our group are buying anything, and I'm running out grabbing a strap, telling this guy he needs to buy 60 of these today.
Kevin was in full sell mode. It was amazing.
It was like, and I think we're actually going to be the first American strap company to Sweden.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you go and look on the shelves and there's just these two little
garbage
dinky straps, and you're
no
like, oh my
guys,
god, this product belongs on this shelf. In this store that has all this like quality gear.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah,
that was so funny. I just looking at that, I was like, guys, we need to be selling these people. Exactly. We need to be. But I like this hat, Kevin. I need to. So I think I was the only one that walked out that
You're the only one that didn't buy something.
I didn't buy something.
Yeah,
I felt kind of guilty, but
that's okay. That's okay. Somebody had to be responsible and actually try to make some money on the trip.
somebody's got to pay for the speeding tickets.
Yes, that's how we're gonna do it. That guy's gonna buy straps. Gosh dang it.
Well, that's a perfect segue to kind of say, if you want to see this experience live and in color, you can go
see the magic of Chaim at work.
That's right. I hope that, I haven't even gone into editing mode yet, and Ryan knows this more than anybody. I get super stressed out because as a creator, you want to convey this emotion that we're having, and I hope that we can do that.
We will.
And I hope that you guys can go and enjoy and kind of live that experience and start planning your own experiences.
Yep.
And if you want to go watch that, it'll be in the link below in this podcast. And thank you guys for joining in.
Check it out. Go check out RW Coolidge for some awesome sporting goods products that will help you on your hunt and give you a more nostalgic experience in the woods, and definitely
match these old beers in that nice little stash.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's right. And then definitely check out Mallard Bay. I mean, there's going to be a lot of great hunts that are going to be available
going on
there.
Your next, whatever your checklist is. That's
whatever it is. Like it's not an ego thing; it's an experience thing. And go have a journey.
Experience.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yep. MallardBay.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Kevin, thanks for joining us. And
guys, thanks
traveling
for the invite.
over here.
I extremely
so
enjoyed
much
it.
fun.
So much fun to be with you guys.
Very cool. All right. Well,
until the next one.
Can't wait.